presentation.
Okay.
So it's Andrii.
Yes, can I start? Yes.
Yes. So
okay.
share the screen. Mitro can share screen.
Yeah. Good day, dear colleagues. For your attention, we present a report on the topic features of designing and implementing an information system for studying and determining the level of foreign language proficiency. One of the most common sections of distance learning is the study of foreign languages, as this knowledge is the key of success in today's world, and the vast amounts of information processing and exchange is becoming increasingly important. Due to the process of the labor market globalization, knowledge of a foreign language significantly increases professional competitiveness between specialists in various fields and promotes business contacts in all spheres of life. That is why knowledge of a foreign language is a necessity for personal professional activity and a successful career growth. The analysis showed that a significant number of approaches to learning a foreign language have been developed nowadays. It will be considered each of them for the detailed research. Grammar translation method. First method. This method is based on the traditional approach to teaching Greek and Latin, which aimed to teach students to read and translate literary works while the communication component as such was not used. Next is autolingual method. In this method, students use only the target language in the learning process. New words and grammar are explained orally in a foreign language. Next is situational language learning. Its main principle is the study of vocabulary and the practice of reading. Learning processes are divided into 3 stages: acquisition of knowledge, memorization through repetition, and use of this knowledge in practice. Next is communicative language learning, one of the modern standards of language learning. Its main principle is to focus not on the study of grammar, but on the communicative aspect. Next method is immersion method. Many consider it the most successful way to learn a second language. Language learning is mainly through communication. Yeah. The method of storytelling, third on this slide, according to the method, classes use a combination of reading and storytelling to help students better understand a foreign language. Next is a method of physical reaction. According to this method, the listener is initially a passive performer. The method of quiet learning. According to this method, students must learn independently, and the teachers should only help them develop responsibility and autonomy. In general, the list of methods for learning foreign languages is not exhaustive. We can say that the ideal method hasn't yet been invented, but it is worth nothing that it can hardly exist at all, because everyone has different mindset and different skills. So the best effect in learning a foreign language can be achieved only with an individual approach. Taking into account all peculiarities and individual requests, is planned to be implemented in our software system. The purpose of the study is to design and implement a system for studying and determining the level of foreign language proficiency. The study will provide tools for learning foreign languages depending on the initial level of the user, the required purpose, and the need for certification of skills, which will increase its competitiveness in the labor market. The result of the research solve the current scientific and practical problem of creating a methodological approach and software for learning foreign languages. At the initial stage of creating the system, the necessary task was to determine the basic requirements which it would meet, given that one way is to present requirements in the form of scenarios. In the process of forming work scenarios, the subsystem learning materials was identified, which is presented to users with the roles of teacher and student. The subsystem education materials is designed to enter and update a database for teaching materials, manuals, video and audio files, web resources, as well as providing access to the data to users of different roles. Input data for the subsystem define a search criteria, for example, type of level of complexity of tasks, choice of the ultimate goal, etc., as well as keys for access to selected training materials. After processing the receiving input data, the system gives the user the opportunity to use all the necessary training material. Part research was aimed at building models of system operation using the apparatus of algebra algorithms. The first stage in the implementation of the algebra of algorithms was the description of unit terms and synthesis of sequences, which is given below. The main sequences. First sequence S1, sequence of system operation in case of authentication data and non-compliance with the established requirements. Next, sequence 2, the sequence of operation of the system in the presence of authentication data and compliance with the established requirements. And third sequence is system operation sequence in case of no authentication data. The next step is the substitution of the corresponding sequences and the elimination of L2 or L2. As a result of using the properties of the algebra algorithms, we make common unit terms for the sign of the elimination operation and obtain the following formula of the algebra of algorithms. And the next stage of the study was the design of the system using an object-oriented approach. Namely, at the beginning for the design, a diagram of usage options was created in the Visual Paradigm software environment and shown in Figure 3. The diagram of activity of the designed system is presented on Figure 4. From the user's point of view, it's mandatory to register and pass a language proficiency test. There is feedback on the platform that allows the user to leave comments and interact with the teacher online. Training takes place through the interactive properties of the platform, graphic and multimedia display of educational material. Next was the Petri network. The Petri net was used as a device for modeling the sequence of factors of the system. In this case, in the general case, a simple labeled Petri net can be represented by the dependencies Mn of STF, where S is from S1 and S2 Sn, the set of network states, and next T is the set of the transitions, F is the set of arcs. The Petri net for the designed system has the form shown in Figure 5 on this slide. The purpose of each position given in the table 1, the purpose of each transitions is given in the table 2. The next stage was the construction of a system for starting and determining the level of a foreign language proficiency. The developed system is characterized by the simple and intuitive interface implemented in accordance with the requirements of CAO. Passing the test is implemented by a separate module, which is responsible for establishing of the level of language proficiency and testing language skills. The model is based on the methods of natural language processing. For the practical implementation of NLP concepts, the special library was used, which is a part of the machine language algorithm for natural language processing in Golang. After passing the English language test, the user can start learning. He can choose the material he wants to work with, videos, audio recordings, podcasts, or authentic text. After learning, training exercises and testing are a must. Again, the user can view the data on the based material as well the result of full test on his profile page. The peculiarity of the created system is that it provides tools for self-selection of skills that the user seeks to improve. And as a result of the study, the existing methods, international certifications, and known systems were analyzed, which provide tools for learning foreign languages and describe the mechanisms for assessing these skills. The created software product works in the prototype mode and implements the described functionality. And further research will be focused on creating a mobile version of the system, resolving conflicts and expanding the functionality in accordance with the defined requirements. Thanks. Maybe you have questions.
So we have time for questions from the audience. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
What most difficult part of the research? This research.
Maybe one of the difficult parts is searching and analyzing known methods, because we must do actually good research to know which method, how it works. Yes, to do our task more better than other systems.
Thank you.
May I ask, what mathematical tools will you use in the next stage?
Actually, in our work, we used mathematical tool like apparatus of algorithms, and in other stage, maybe we can use that one too, because this is actually a mathematical modeling tool, so I don't see why not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about the machine learning and people learning language. How do you see these two things different? How the machine learns and how a person learns language?
No, it's hard to tell you about this. In this, we used the natural language processing because this is a part of machine learning algorithms. So I think it was good.
Which of the many methods of learning a language would you recommend?
I don't know which method I recommend.
Or is there some trend that people say this is a very good method in this set?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, so no definite opinion on this. Yes, I think thank you again for the talk, and it's time for the second talk. It's the same group, but also Taras Vasyliuk, Andrii Vasyliuk, and Lyubomyr Demkiv. So, are you presenting again?
Yeah.
Andrii? Yeah. Okay,
yes,
good.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
Yes. Good day, dear colleagues, again for attention. We present a report on the topic, peculiarities of organizing the workspace using machine learning methods. The workspace is where people spend a large part of their day. You can often hear complaints about how difficult it's to cope with the tasks and how much time and nerves it takes to look for something on the table or in drawers. You can hear the standard answer on this. It's fatigue, the need to rest, it is necessary to change the environment, work, etc. At the same time, the reason may be one on the surface and consist in the fact that irration may be caused by banal clutter of inconvenient organization of the workspace. The conducted analysis showed that with all variety of systems, there are currently no software applications that are focused on the workspace organization. And this is not surprising, since this task belongs to the process of pattern recognition, namely the identification and further representation taking into account ergonomic features. The date, the optimal recognition algorithms has not been developed. There are several leading libraries that manage to recognize images on the pictures, search for identical individuals on the network. However, the goal of finding the location of the object or its identification was not achieved. Existing object recognition technologies, deep face like TensorFlow, OpenCV, achieved high results, but insufficient for the implementation of everyday tasks with the use of significant hardware sources. In the regard, it is necessary to improve object recognition algorithms and existing machine learning methods. As for this subject area, the application of machine learning methods will be carried out to recommend the system. The purpose of the research is design and implementation of organizing the workspace system using machine learning methods. To achieve the goal, the following main tasks must be solved: analyze the existing approaches, methods, and software tools used in the field of organizing the workspace. To determine the main task that arise at the same time, carry out a systematic analysis of the subject area, conduct a mathematical description of the subject area using the algorithms, design the software system using an object-oriented approach, and display the created diagrams in accordance with the UML language notation, to develop a software system for organizing the workspace using machine learning methods. The result of research solve the actual scientific and practical tasks for creating a methodological approach and software for solving and the task of organizing the workspace. At the initial stage of creating a system, it's necessary to carry out a system analysis, which is a sequence of actions to establish structure connections between the elements of the studied system. For this, it's necessary to build a tree of goals. It is created to analyze a problematic situation and visualize its results. It consists of a goal, of a general goal, the top of the tree, which shows what needs to be achieved, and sub goals, the fulfillment of which will allow the main goal to be achieved. The general goal is creating a system for organizing the workspace. Sub-goals have been defined to achieve the general goal. Further research was aimed at building methods of system functioning using the algorithm apparatus. The first stage of the implementation of the algorithms was the description of unit terms and the synthesis of sequences, which is given below. After substituting the eliminations, the general formula will look like in slide. And the next stage is substitution of the corresponding sequences in the elimination. And as a result of using the properties of the algorithm, we subtract the common unit terms by the sign of the elimination operation and obtain the following formula of the algebra algorithms. The next stage of the research was the design of the system using an object-oriented approach. Namely, at the beginning of the design, a diagram of use cases was created, made in the visual paradigm software environment. The diagram defines two main actors, the user and the administrator, which are connected by a generalization relationship that is all the actions that the user can perform, as well as some additional ones defined by the corresponding role will be available. Next, according to the concept of object-oriented design, a class diagram will be constructed. The class diagram is the basis of any software project documentation, and without its implementation, for the correct construction is impossible. It allows you to formalize the logical model of the program at the level of the structural elements of the system and provides a static representation of the structure of the program. In order to display the features of the interaction between individual objects, a sequence diagram was constructed. It shows three system objects: user, system, and database. After logging into the user system, the user begin to through the main flow in the system, passing the test, scanning the space, scanning object, and receiving recommendations. The development of any system cannot be complete without a choice of method of solving the task. After analyzing the literary sources, a decision was made to use the pattern recognition method in tandem with the recommendation engine to cover the user needs. The basis of the developed system is a recommendation engine based on the content-based filtering method. This method is chosen because such a model does not require any extraneous data, as recommendations are specific to a particular user. At the same time, the model can cover the specific interest of the user and recommend niche items that interest him. The next stage was the design of the system, which based on the analysis was decided to be implemented in the form of a client-server system, which the client part was implemented in the form of a mobile application running under the control of the Android operating system. In order to integrate the pattern recognition methods into the system, ready-made Python libraries were used, namely CRApe, as a flexible, fast recommendation engine for Python, which integrate classic recommendation algorithms and information filtering in ready-made NumPy, SciPy, and Matplotlib packages. The developed prototype of the application is presented in next slides. After clicking on the middle icon, you can proceed to the first step, which is to pass the test. After completing of which, you can see a screen where the system congratulates you for passing, and the two options: take the test again by clicking take the test again, or continuing by clicking next. After the clicking next button, the user goes to the next step, namely space scanning. After clicking on let's scan, the system goes into scanning mode, covering the area of space. After selecting the next button, the user goes to the third step, namely scanning objects. After scanning, there are two buttons: save, save the item and retake. Repeat the scan. This way, element by element scanning of all objects is carried out. Next, the entered data is processed. After all the data have been processed, the system displays possible options for placing object in space. As a result of the conducted research, the existing methods and known systems that provide tools for organizing the workspace were analyzed. The next stage of the work was a systematic analysis of the subject area with the formation of the section goals and their presentation in the form of a goal tree. The next mathematical description of the subject area was given using the apparatus of algorithms of mathematical support. object-oriented design of the software system was carried out by constructing a set of diagrams in UML notation, some of which use case diagram classes and sequences are presented in the work. Based on the conductor research, the system was was designed and implemented in Android Studio. The created software product works in prototype mode and implements the described functionality, and further research will be directed in the verification and approval of the obtained results and expansion of the functionality. Yeah, thank you.
So we have time for questions. Are there any questions about the workspace organization tool? I have a question. Is there are you the first who is conducting research on how to use formal methods to organize workspace?
Okay. We tested our system, and we do not test in every space, because now I'm in the kitchen. In this place, hard to recognize and make good decision, okay, for the system. But in actually workspace, like workplace, system was good, but some parts we need approval in future researches.
How is it applicable to virtual workspaces? I have the problem to organize my desktop, but the one on the computer in the Windows system or Linux system. Can you apply the same methods for virtual workspace?
Actually, we don't test it. We don't tested our system for for tasks like this. It's only by recognizing by photo of your workspace.
Okay.
And you don't need to recognize what operating system. It only works on Android.
Okay. And how difficult is it to recognize the objects? How is the error rate on this? And what?
No, difficult is
pattern recognition.
yes.
Difficult is a pattern recognition, and we use the convolutional neural network for this execution and receive something normal results.
Do you have overlap? Is overlap possible? Like my mouse is on the on a book. Would you then see the mouse is on the book?
Actually, I think it's area of book, and mouse or cup of coffee can stand on the book, and this is not that doesn't matter.
Okay, good. Thank you. These were a bit questions of mine based on curiosity. Are there more questions? Otherwise, we would like to proceed. Thank you for these interesting talks. And our next speaker is from the group of Vasyl Teslyuk, Bohdan, Borkivskyi. You are here, I see.
Yeah.
So you will give the presentation? Yes.
Okay. Then I'll
share the screen, please.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll start. Greetings, dear colleagues. Today I'd like to present results of research on models and means of object recognition using artificial neural networks. That was conducted by Professor Vasyl Teslyuk and me, Bohdan Borkivskyi, from the Polytechnic National University, in cooperation with Hamza, Ali, Alshawabkeh. from Al-Baha University, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This research is a part of a bigger project about developing a robotic system that can help people with solving their daily tasks and helping with their needs. Since this robotic system can move, it should be able to detect different objects and keep track of only relevant objects for different situations. So today I'd like to share what challenges and problems we faced and the way we solved them. And the first problem that needs to be solved is a proper object detection model selection, since it's a core of object detection systems, and based on its performance, it determines the performance of the whole system. So we examined a few popular models, and the first one is faster RCNN from the RCNN family of models. Since it's better than its predecessors RCNN and fast RCNN, we consider only faster RCNN. And the advantage of RCNN models is presence of second subnet, so-called region proposal network, which, in addition to the regular convolutional network that is responsible for extracting feature map from the image, region proposal network looks some interesting regions in the image, and then combining them with feature map extracts objects from the image. Another model we examined was YOLO, You Only Look Once, which is simpler than faster RCNN. It consists of mainly of convolutional networks of different sizes. YOLO has a significant drawback because of architecture of its last layers. YOLO is able of only finding 98 or almost 100 regions for objects, which is not that much. And the last one is SSD model, single shot detector, which is somewhat similar to YOLO. It also has convolutional layers of different sizes, but they are divided into two parts. The first one is a regular convolutional network that creates main feature map, and then there is a pipeline of multiple convolutional layers of different sizes, which accumulate their results, creating a lot of proposed regions, up to 8.7 thousands of regions. And another advantage of those regions is that because of convolutional layers of different sizes, SSD can detect objects in multiple scales. Here is a comparison of models, as can be seen from results and also from analyzing pros and cons of models. We can see that YOLO has its accuracy is much lower than accuracy of other models because it can detect way less objects. Faster RCNN, because it has two subnets, doesn't suffer in accuracy comparing to SSD, but since it has to run convolutions multiple times from the same image, its speed decreases significantly. So we decided to stick to SSD as the best model comparing to other two. Another important task to do when creating object detection system is proper dataset selection. Since we are creating it for a robotic system, it should detect different objects. First dataset we considered was a walk dataset from Walk Pascal Challenge, but it wasn't updated since 2012 and only had 20 classes, so it doesn't suit our needs. And the next one was CFAR 100. It has way more classes, 100, 5 times more, but they are divided into 20 superclasses of similar objects. And among those 100 classes, only 15 of them were for some items that can be found indoors. So it mainly works with outdoor systems. And we had to find some other data set. Also, we considered ImageNet, which has tremendous amount of data, thousands of classes, hundreds of thousands of images for each class, but its size requires a lot of computational power as well as a lot of time to train such model. So we had to find balance between how many classes we can detect and time we can spend on training such model. So we looked at the fourth data set here, Kokhan data set, which is probably the most famous data set. It is used in evaluating models' performance, creating different benchmarks, and it has 80 classes. Although it's less than in two previous data sets, but those classes are very different in nature. There are classes for food, for drinks, for some pieces of furniture, TV, laptop, other gadgets, as well as, for example, vehicles. So it makes this system, this data set, favorable for creating detection system for robotic system. When we have trained our model with some data, another problem appears, because SSD can detect up to 8.7 thousand of regions for objects. Some of those regions can actually find the same object. So it results in having multiple instances of the same object. So we do something to eliminate duplicates. And that's where non-maximum suppression algorithm is handy. What it does, it removes duplicates for the same object in the way that it takes a region with the highest confidence score. Then it goes through all other objects and looks how much two objects overlap by calculating intersection over union. And based on some threshold value that we initialize, it either keeps objects or removes them as duplicates. And it continues until all objects are not overlapping based on that threshold value, leaving us only with unique regions for objects. So we are at the stage where we have unique objects, but since it's a detection model for robotic system, our robotic system can move, can work in different environments. And since it can work with a lot of classes, it can happen that in some situation it detected object it wasn't supposed to detect based on the environment it working in. So we come up with the algorithm that filters out, removes irrelevant objects. The way it works is it uses configuration file we created beforehand that has a list of numerous environments, or here it's called modes, the robotic system can work in, and a list of corresponding objects for each environment. So, for example, if it's on a road, vehicles, maybe bicycles. If it's indoor environment, some cups, plates, and so on. And
Я
if
прошу
some...
вас, лишається 3 хвилини.
Yeah, thanks. And if detected object is not from our environment, it removes this duplicate. So combining a model and these algorithms, we managed to create pipeline, object detection pipeline, which is not only efficient because of using SSD model, not only it can detect various objects, but also keep the resulting information as relevant as possible. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, it's for those who were not able to join us, you can leave your questions via email or via QR code. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have time for a question or two from the audience.
Could you tell what's your new results do you have in this presentation? Because all this approach is now.
Yeah, so we didn't create a new model. Yes, we only analyzed existing models and selected the best of them. Also, non-maximum suppression algorithm is an existing approach, but what's new is creating this algorithm that works with the configuration file created by us to keep resulting information for our robotic system relevant.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What about using a pre-trained network as example on Coco?
Yes, so actually, can you extend your question?
I think that you should be use pre-trained YOLO on dataset named Coco, not full training.
Okay.
Pre-trained.
Yes. So yes. So actually, here we selected a model. In our case, SSD selected a data set, and for this iteration, we found a pre-trained version of SSD with a Coco data set.
Okay.
Okay, so we have not more time for questions, but feel free in the coffee break to discuss a bit more this paper, and let's move to the next talk scheduled for now, which is the talk by Rostyslav Yurynets.
Rostyslav Yurynets. Yeah, Rostyslav
Yurynets.
Yurynets.
Zoryna.
Good morning, dear colleagues.
Hello.
My name is
Hello.
Maryna Shevchenko. I'm one of the co-authors of the publication and the article. Unfortunately, my co-authors are now in Lviv. They face problems with the lack of electricity. That's why I will present the results.
This is fine, yes. Can you share your screen?
Yes, I will try. Unfortunately, I have problems with my camera. That's why you can see me.
Okay, but we can.
At least, yes, I think we can see our presentation.
Yes, and we can hear you. So go ahead.
Yes. Thank you very much for our interesting conference. Our paper is called Neural Network Modeling of Social, Economic, Investment and Innovation Policy of the State. As you can see, we are focusing on economic issues. So my co-authors are Rostyslav Yurynets from Lviv Polytechnic National University from Lviv, Zoryna Yurynets from Ivan Franko Lviv National University. We also have a colleague from Poland, Mariola Grzebyk from Rzeszów University, Nataliia Kunanets from Lviv Polytechnic National University, and my name is Maryna Shevchenko. I'm from Osnabrück University, Germany. So as I told before, I will mostly focus on economic issues, in particular, on which extent the state may strengthen the socially and innovatively oriented national economy. Because nowadays we think this is one of the most important tasks for our state and for our current economic policy. This type of economy is one of the most promising, as it combines the high efficiency of market, of innovation mechanisms, investment, and educational development as well, in order to achieve a high standard of living of the population of our country. And of course, the world experience of forming a developed national economy with a focus on the development of mentioned issues will be of great importance for Ukrainian scholars and policymakers. In our work, we used neural network modeling. Neural networks are a suitable tool for analyzing macroeconomic processes and determining the main directions of social, economic, innovative, and investment policy of the state. Therefore, neural network modeling can contribute greatly to formation of socially and innovatively oriented economy of the country. And among the main forecasting methods, neural network forecasting methods are presumed to demonstrate consistent growth during the past years. The proposed neural network model in this work is based on social, economic, investment, and innovative development indicators of Ukraine and the leading countries of the world. They are describing the results of Ukraine's state policy during the previous 20 years, and they have been utilized in the neural model. The directions, the scope of the changes in the state intervention in the economy were clarified by the neural network modeling. We analyzed the nature of the influence of each factor of the neural network on the result, and actually the activation value of the neuron is obtained here as the difference of the weighted sum of the inputs and the threshold value. The activation signal is converted using the activation function, and as the result, the output signal of the neuron is obtained. During the construction of the neural model, a training sample was developed, and StatSoft Statistica 6 neural network application program package was chosen as the basis for the research. I should say that formation of the neural model is carried out sequentially. So first, the network type is selected to achieve the goals and objectives. Then the network is trained. Then the network is checked and tested, and later the network can be successfully implemented. The input parameters of the model are indicators of the country's investment, innovation, social, and economic policy. the output parameter of the model is the pertinence or level of compliance of the state policy with the conditions of the social and innovative orientation of the economy. The expert assessment has limits, where 1 is the highest level of the social and innovative orientation of the economy, and 0 is the lowest one. So statistical data that was collected to evaluate all the factors was since 1969 till 2021, so it was huge scope of data, and we used different sources of information, like, for example, materials of the International Monetary Fund or OECD, State Committee of Statistics of Ukraine, and some other organizations. We also use statistics from the prominent countries like UK, USA, France, Germany, Sweden, Netherlands, and some others. Here in the table, you can see the indicators and statistical data for the model that we actually used in our work. So these are indicators since 2000 till 2029, and here you can see, for example, corporate income tax revenues, R&D funding from the state budget, for example, financing of innovative activities from the state budget, and so some government expenditures on education, for example, because we see that these indicators are the main, they show the biggest influence. And there we constructed the graphs with the forecast. For example, here is the forecast of government expenditures in education, forecast of R&D funding from the state budget, and forecast of innovative activities from the state budget, and so on. So thus, the proposed neural network model for studying the action of social and economic innovative investment factors that determine government policy found out the understatement of state financial and resource support. Public fixed investment and financing of innovative activities from the state budget has the highest influence over economic growth of the country. Equally important for the economic development is the increase of R&D funding from the state budget and government expenditure on education. So the neural network model for forecasting and evaluation of the social, economic, investment, and innovation policy of the state allows predicting the main directions of resource allocation and budgeting. And I'm sure that it can contribute greatly for the future economic growth and innovative in an innovative way, let's say this way. Okay, thank you for your information. Thank you for your attention. That's all from me.
Thank you. Actually, a very interesting topic that you work on. Are there questions from the audience right now? I have a question.
Yes,
so actually, I was born near Osnabrück, but that's just a remark. So it's quite nice to see how things come together again. But my question is about the innovation. Use a neural network, and I think here we would like to understand something about innovation and innovative or policies that make R&D funding better. Have you considered to use something like explainable AI to better understand the way the neural network gives predictions? You might have.
Actually, we are focusing on innovation, and this innovation. Actually, I'm consultant from the field of economy.
Okay.
So that's why, in this publication, and for sure, for now, we should focus on the innovative way of developing, because you know that nowadays Ukraine is facing very tough time, and we have to rebuild constantly our economy. And actually, our work shows that the previous government policy, previous state policy, was not focused on financing some innovative projects, some new ideas, education, on the full scale, and we need it right now. We need the increase of R&D funding and so on, because now we have to reconstruct our economy, rebuild our plants, factors, rebuild our universities, because initially, for example, I'm from Kharkiv, you know, this is the eastern part of Ukraine, and unfortunately my native city is completely damaged and partly destroyed, and we have to rebuild everything in a modern way, in an innovative way. And of course, we need financing, and we need appropriate governmental policy in this field. And I think that different methods of forecasting, for example, like a neural network modeling method and some other and statistical methods, they can help to see the gaps in the previous policy, and they can show the possibilities to improve it in future. So this is my opinion.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry,
Yeah.
I had something happened to my laptop, but I'm back now. Sorry. Maybe I missed the last part of your answer. Hopefully.
I think that our paper shows the previous gaps in the economic policy of Ukraine. So, and we can improve this policy, and we can find new resources of funding, and we can develop this financial policy in future with the help of different methods of forecasting, for example, with the help of neural network modeling method.
Yeah, my proposal was to also look into the new techniques for neural networks called explainable AI. They give you not only predictions, but also explanations for the predictions. So you can learn much more than just making predictions.
Yes, of course, we will do this in future. Thank you, actually, for your.
It's a kind of new trend, and I think it would be very applicable to.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you for your opinion.
Okay, are there more questions about this presentation? Actually, I'm not from the field of economics, but my advice comes more from the field of artificial intelligence, new trends in this field. So it will be interesting to follow up this work.
Yeah, this is interdisciplinary research, actually. So that's I think it's interesting enough.
Yeah. So we see many applications of machine learning here also in this conference. And that is an interesting application too. I would like to go over to the next speaker in the audience. So I ask you to share the screen. I lost the program.
Yes, good morning, I'm here.
Okay, so Myroslava
Sorry, I'm waiting for your introduction. Okay, sorry.
Yes. So we have the next speaker is Myroslava Bublyk, and her co-authors present some research on the analyzing byproduct interaction as an industry resource of circular economy in Ukraine and the world. So about reusing products, recycling. The word is to you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to all participants of the conference. Let me present our work on the topic analyzing byproducts interaction as an industry resource of circular economy in Ukraine and the world. The international teams of authors Myroslava Bublyk, Vadim Shandurskyi, Machita, Piotr Grudowski, and Oleksandr Vasylyuk, united scientists from Ukraine and Poland, named from Lviv Polytechnic National University and Gdansk University of Technology. This problem was investigated for the first time since 2007 for making the managerial decision in the circular economy. This problem was highlighted in several professional articles and monographs collected in my monographs of the doctor's science dissertation and discussed at the international conference. We have already considered the mechanism of the forming of technosyntone and industrial symbiosis. The problem of byproduct interaction in Ukraine and the world received further the development of the present work, the result of which are briefly presented here. There is three types of nuclear waste. High level, it's transuranium, and low level waste, and each type must be disposed to according to the risk for the human health and environment. Most people refer to nuclear waste fuel use in reactor ones. Most of the radioactivity associated with nuclear power remaining contained in the fluence of which it was produced. This is why used fuel is classified as a high-level radioactive waste, as a nuclear waste power plant generated in its entire lifetime is stored on the site in dry sky. The database contains information about the extraction of uranium-contained materials in Ukraine and other countries. Dataset is named Quality Produced Nuclear Waste from 2015 to 2021 in Ukraine. The dataset contains information about the available number of nuclear waste of years from 2018-2021. The state enterprise Eastern Mining and Processing Plant is a state-owned enterprise, one of the 28 uranium mining centers in the world, among which it is the top 10 and it's also the largest in Europe. This one histogram depicted the dependence on nuclear fuel and waste production in 2018-2021 in Ukraine. We use this histogram to represent tabular data on the extraction of uranium-containing materials at the Eastern Mining and Processing Plant, with the aim to approximate representation distribution of numbering data. A diagram consists of rectangle without the gap between them. And on the next slide, this is a tree map depicted dependence on nuclear fuel and waste production in various countries of Europe. Analyzing this gap, we can to observe a significant number accumulation of waste in such countries: Romania, Germany, and Great Britain. On the next graph, you can see we displayed density distribution production nuclear fuel and waste during the same period from 2018-2021. In the figure shows the gram density of factor, criteria, and alternatives. In our investigation, we got acquainted with the task is deal with sphere is influence on waste in Ukraine and waste in Ukraine and other countries in Europe. We did detailed analysis of the chosen dataset and demonstrate the result of practical part. We also prepare a theoretical part according to this topic, and we have the analyzing concluding that in Romania, most number forming household and waste enterprises, and there are three problems of using nuclear waste can be identified. We need to prevent environmental damage, looking for the way of reuse resource, and three is the conversion of nuclear waste into a resource. The nuclear fuel recycling process is straightforward. It's in involved converting spent plutonium and uranium into a mixed oxide that can be reused in nuclear power plant to produce more electricity. As a nuclear fuel recycling process is very stageful, and we have solved this very important way for using this, and this problem left the ban of nuclear fuel recycling, which would cut the amount of waste required disposal by more than half. One facility would be sufficient to store nuclear plant waste and reducing disposal costs to billions of dollars. It is important to build a nuclear recycling facility. That facility will produce mixed oxidal fuel of generated electrical power, not from power plant waste, but from the surplus plutonium now in weapon stockpiles. By lifting the ban of the spent fuel recycling, we could use a valuable resource, provide answer to the nuclear waste problem, open the way for the new generation of nuclear plant to meet growing electricity needs, and put Ukraine in a leader position on climate change action. And the problem is lifting so very important part, not only in economic, it's in political and geopolitical. It's important to build a nuclear recycling facility. The facility will produce mixed or oxidal fuel for generating electrical power. And so at the end, available new known scientist development and research source studied, analyzed, and advanced disadvantage of various influence of the nuclear waste in Ukraine were highlighted. The stable connection between the fact and criteria is assessing that the byproduct interaction in industry, yes, and in industry resource was established. The experience of choosing the R study and Power BI desktop and language programming R is sustained. With the help of this histogram, tree map, and density diagram, the amount of nuclear production was provided. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for giving us this presentation about an interesting topic. Are there questions from the audience to Myroslava? Please feel free to ask a question. We have still a bit of time. Otherwise, I would, for interest, ask a question. So, how do you see the impact of machine learning technologies in this understanding of how to recycle nuclear waste? So, how can you relate this question to machine learning technologies? You showed some visualization possibilities. Do you see other means of using our machine learning technologies in this field, or data science technologies that can help?
Yes, this is our next step. Now we are at the first step. We gather the data, analyze the data set, and prepare this for machine learning. And you're right, it's really the main idea of my research. I conducted from 2007. It's the topic of my doctor's science dissertation, and now I'm looking for the use in information technology in my main scientific direction. Yes, it's very good idea, and we're looking for collaboration between this scientists. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think it would be interesting, maybe in one of the future editions of Momlet, to hear again about such machine learning. Please consider our event also.
Yeah, I hope we will, with electricity, without Russian rockets, and we will win in war. Yeah, it's because it's as for me. Thank you for your working on scientist research under the Russian rocket without electricity, without heat. Thank you. It's very strong people that to do on. Thank you.
Exactly, especially those people yesterday and joining in the night without electricity. It was quite tough. And we had some people even with candlelight. You have probably seen. That was, I never had a conference under such circumstances, but I'm lucky to be in Finland, and here the light is still good. But yeah, we know now how we depend on these resources, on electricity.
Yes, sure.
And let's, about the presentation, maybe there are more questions now. Sometimes it takes a time until people come up with ideas and questions. Otherwise, I would like to thank you again for giving us this talk, and under these circumstances, let us, we are about to have the time for the next talk, and I see that it's also by you, Myroslava.
Yes.
So can you start the next talk by already sharing the screen? And we should wait until 12:15 if anybody wants to join, especially for your talk, maybe to keep in time. So we have 1 minute.
Just a moment. Sorry. I'm looking for my presentation. Yes, it's here. Okay, and change my sharing screen. Do you see? Nothing. Okay.
We see your screen, yes.
Yes.
But you can maybe make full screen mode.
Yes. I'm preparing the presentation. Do you see my full presentation on this?
Yes.
Yeah,
full screen now. It's
full
perfect.
Screen. Yeah, thank you.
You can also start now.
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to participants of the conference. Let me present our next work on the topic analyzing the case of population disease in critical level of environmental pollution by emission, discharge, and waste. The international teams of work, Myroslava Bublyk, Vadim, and Taras Mikhailiuk, Alshawabkeh, Oleksandr Filizhenko, United scientists from Ukraine and Turkey, namely from Lviv Polytechnic National University and Hasity University. This problem was investigated for the first time since 2014 for the making managerial decision in a green economy. This problem was highlighted in several professional articles and monographs and discussed in international conferences. We have already considered determines the amount of social economic damage caused to the social system population. The problem of economic assessment of the amount of compensation reimbursement of this social damage caused by the economic activity of the enterprise received further development in the present bank, and the result of which are briefly presented here. Pollution. Introduction into the environmental or occurrence is its new ones usual for characteristic physical factor, chemical and biological substance with harm natural ecosystem and to the person. By spatial distribution, size, covering, territory pollution share on local pollution, regional pollution, and global pollution. According to the topic, the activity of person lead to permanent pollution surrounding natural medium, atmosphere, air, natural water, and soil. We investigate population disease at critical level of pollution emission, discharge, and the waste environmental worldwide. This justifies the relevance to the conducted research. Analyzing the latest research cover report of the official website of the World Bank, research of foreign scientists, research conducted by Ukrainian scientists united in Scientists and Environmental Protection School in Lviv, Sumy, Odessa, and Kyiv. The World Human Organization report defined whole number ecological reasons and their communication with mortality, namely pollution surrounding environment, influence chemical substance, change climate, and ultraviolet radiation, more than 100 disease and injuries and other pollution air. You can charge 8 million case in death, includes influence secondary tobacco smoke with response by cardiovascular disease, cancer, and chronic respiration disease. On this slide, you can we study the classification of factors which cause the disease according to each branch of industry and its emissions and harm. For example, the coal, mill, and paper working industry cause emission with contain particles to sand, rock, and other mechanical inputs. They can violate nature ecosystem and sanitary regime to slip up the bottom of the shore. These relate of the external pollution are according to 40% is cardiovascular disease, 40% strokes, and 11% chronic obstacles disease lung, 6% cancer lung, and 3% acute infection lower expiration way in children. Experiments. We combine the data sets, the number of disease of the urban population, and air quality and its pollution in the cities of the world. The first data set contains information on the general disease level of the urban population. The second data set despite the air quality and pollution caused by heavy environmental pollution in the world cities. It is important that is the obtained data set we have the following consumption to data: name of the city, region, country, air quality, pollution, and population disease level. On the next slide, sorry, in the given diagram, three map reflect hierarchical data in the nested rectangle. The slide depicted countries on the quantity approach specified in the dataset. Analyzing the current tree map, we can see significant morbidity in the countries such as Germany, Italy, Canada, and USA. In the given diagram pie charts, we can watch the quality of the air in each of the countries' conditions for 2022. Having done analysis, we do conclusions that the highest quality air is in Switzerland and the smallest in France. A given figure despite the number of diseases of different countries in the world in 2022. Analyzing the present figure, we can see the biggest number of disease in India, Chile, and Egypt, and smallest indicator we observe in Canada, Germany, and Italy. We worked with the package T-map in the R studio. Package T-map designed for the creation for semantic map with a large flexibility. This package offers a flexible approach, basic layer, and easy to approve for the creation. Semantic maps are dropless and bubble map. The number of disease in 2022 is displayed on the Europe map. So at the end, the source of pollution disease in cities is industrial production, transport, and provision of certain type of service related to the collection, the storage of waste, and supply of electricity, gas, stream, and air condition, etc. The system of indicator for assessing population disease does not directly concern to the source of the formation, but rather the consequence. The consequence of human economic activity are the loss of non-renewable natural source, the significant deterioration of the state of a renewable source, the accumulation of hazardous waste, and as a result, the deterioration of the quality of labor source, even the lost. Conclusion. As a result, we in detail investigation quantity disease population is critical level of pollution, emission, discharge, and waste environment in the world. We did detail analysis of the chosen data sets and demonstrate result on the practical form of the map. Having spent analysis, we arrive conductions at Romania most number of former households enterprise hostel. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there questions about the study? Mitro?
What the software was used for this work?
Yes, we use the same software as RStudio and language programming ARC, so special block TMAP. Yes, we plan use of modern technique like machine learning and neural network, but the first step is very difficult to gather the data to collect the necessary important data, because we work with 6,000 data. Yeah, we have so large pool for this next investigation. Yes.
But it collected in some database or some knowledge base?
Yes, we use official United Nations database, official Eurostat database, and World Human Organization database.
Yeah, it's
and
from,
World
but
Bank.
to
Yes.
which your database?
Yeah, we combine so different data from the different database, and we must check and improve the relation between them. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
How do you, or is it when you see the correlations, country like India has a high amount of disease, and Germany, for instance, not so high, although both have a high pollution. Is there a possibility that other reasons than pollution cause disease, like poverty, for instance?
I hope very important factors is the medical, the level of medical aid. It's in Germany, it's high, and it's a very important factor. Yes.
So
I
how
hope,
can you filter such effects or account for such effects, that there's a third variable influencing?
In some other previous work, we have the same situation when we have the different Ukrainian part with high level disease, but there are no any pollution, and it's very typical situation for this, for the investigation in this direction. Yeah, and for the iteration, for the next iteration, we can identify that the main pollution, it was the radiation phone in this region, and small level radiation phone after the Chernobyl disease. Yes.
Okay.
It's. I hope for me, Ukraine. I know about this situation in Ukraine. For me, it's very important to investigate in the world, in the global situation, because I understand that I don't know nothing about this further of characteristic of this disease problem. Yes. Yeah.
For instance, it was in Japan, there was also nuclear catastrophe in this Fukushima, so maybe it can be compared in similar, let's say there are similar places, and to maybe also places with similar economy, and see if some additional factor makes it. But I think it's some technique in in the artificial intelligence called causal inference. They look a lot at what causes something and try to find out from statistical data. I can write in the chat, but probably you have seen already.
Yes, I hope
Inference.
it will be a next conference.
But causal inference is very much trying to filter out these looks at data and then try to find out what are real causes and what are coincidences or this. But it's a very difficult field, I find. I try also sometimes in data analysis to understand which causes what, and not only to predict. But in this field, there are many methods, and I think we should better understand what are real causes and quantify them. Okay, thank you for this interesting presentation again, and another aspect of this important topic of waste and pollution was highlighted to us, and also the need to use machine learning methods in this field. I think we have now upcoming a coffee break, and there was a request by Konstantin about questions. I don't see Konstantin anymore. If he should join the coffee break, we can.
Sorry,
maybe
he absent again.
He's absent again. Maybe again electricity problems. Who knows?
But as inclusion, maybe he want to say.
Yes.
May I present my report?
Yes, you can use the coffee break to present it. Please feel free to join. I remember the report yesterday. We played the video, but please present again. Then we can, in the coffee break, take this time, right?
To remind us, yeah.
If you need to take a break, feel free, but it's an opportunity also to see the presentation.
I prepare how no.
He said that 3 days without electricity he was.
Oh, 3 days. Where was it? In which part of Ukraine?
Kiev.
Kiev, yes, I heard Kiev was very... There was yesterday a picture on CNN. They showed a map, and Kiev was a star before from space, and then it was dark.
Yeah.
Do you see the screen?
Yes, we see.
Thank you. May I start?
Yes, please start.
I would like to represent a new non-parametric test for estimation of errors of forecast models using small samples. The problem is for forecast error estimation is formulation in M with subscript B forecasting models producing predictions xi on data sequence xi, and epsilon I is errors of the model mi. Obeying distribution f. Consider a loss function j from epsilon describing model accuracy, for example, standard deviation. To compare forecast by their error measures, we must test whether the distributions are equivalent or not. If the distributions are equivalent, are not equivalent, we can to distinguish the models. There are several error measures for forecasting models. In particular, mean absolute error, mean square error, mean square deviation, root mean square error, and normalized root mean square error. The equivalent homogeneity hypothesis is formulated in the following way. Oh, I'm sorry. The null hypothesis is the models are equivalent, so the distribution of the errors are equivalent or identical. This may be reformulated in the terms of difference between lost functions, that the difference between loss functions computed on the errors is equal to 0. In turn, this hypothesis may be reduced to the comparing the mathematical expectations of lost functions, and in a particular way, when the loss function is a standard deviation, we can check or we can test the hypothesis that the deviations are statistically equal. But we propose to test more general hypothesis, the hypothesis that the distribution functions of errors are identical, because the hypothesis that the mathematical expectations are identical is not the general and not universal hypothesis, and maybe not sufficient. Two sample test of homogeneous is reduced to the construction of various series and to the using of so-called Hill's assumption that the random value lays between two order statistics with exact probability j minus I divided by n plus 1 independently from the distribution or any assumptions, just numbers of order statistics and size of sample. So we can simply compute the relative frequency of the such events, and to estimate how this relative frequency distinguish from the known probability that is equal to j minus I divided by n plus 1. If this relative frequency is more than 0.95, then the distributions are the same, and if the relative frequency is less than 0.95, we reject the null hypothesis. I applied this approach to the data from 4 countries, and 3 models, in particular random forest model, nearest neighbor model, gradient boosting model. Countries are Germany, Japan, South Korea, and Ukraine. This data was taken from the publication Shevchenko et al. From the journal Computation. And the selection of countries was motivated by the diversity of these countries. This is not unique selection of the countries. We may select the countries with the greatest number of cases or some other criteria, but these countries are very different. And as far as we should compare our approach to 3 different models, we use these countries to mitigate the bias of this selection. As far as these countries are very different, the main difference is the model, but not countries. And as we see, this approach is quite efficient. And we see that our test, so-called Clusian-Petunin test, and classical Diebold-Marianna and Wilcoxon test are quite effective. So they distinguish this model, and this model may be used for comparing the errors. As we see, these models are quite similar, and if you see their test, then we see that the more exact in the case of Germany is gradient boosting. For Germany is again gradient boosting, and for South Korea, the gradient boosting again, and for Ukraine, the gradient boosting again. The gradient boosting again is the most precision model for forecasting case COVID-19, but there are some assumptions, and the main assumption is that we can use this for segments with a stationary period. If we have the trend and some time trend, then we can use some other mathematical tools. Thank you very much for your attention and the possibility to represent my investigations.
Thank you. Thank you. You said in your title that you use small data sets. In what respect do you think a small data set needs to be handled differently than a large data set?
Yes, the small data sets is the sets where the data, from statistical point of view, where the samples are less than 30 elements. Then we cannot use some asymptotic estimations where n is infinity and so on. But there are some very effective tools for. In our case, we use the bootstrapping techniques. There are jackknife techniques and bootstrapping techniques. We used both, and now my presentation is based on the bootstrapping techniques. This is motivated by that the publications are restricted. We can use large data published in the internet, but in publication where we use some errors in scientific journals, as a rule, these very small samples, not more than 20 numbers. And to analyze this data, we must use some bootstrapping techniques.
Okay, so how reliable are these bootstrapping techniques, or how much you can quantify the uncertainty about the error?
Our techniques is justified by mathematical theorems and is very useful for small samples because we guarantee that the significance level of our decision with respect to null hypothesis is less than 0.05.
Okay, I see.
Is more than 95%. This is mathematical fact. This is
like a significance level.
Yes.
So based on, I remember some of these studies. I know some of these studies with significance levels. In machine learning techniques, often not such rigorous statistics are used, indeed. They use more large data sets in the, let's say, this deep learning and modern techniques. They normally have very big data sets. So I think it's very important to not forget that often small data is a problem, not big data. How did you...
if you see this screen, note that this sample is divided in some subsamples, but where we from n elements we construct n multiplied by n minus 1 divided 2 samples. So if the events is n in square. So despite of this sample is small, we have quite large number of events. So we can estimate the relative frequency with high reliability.
So it's this bootstrapping that
we
gives
can
you...
use 10 numbers and obtain 50 elements, 50 events and 50 relative frequency.
That's interesting. Thank you for explaining it a bit more in detail. I think it's something that might be forgotten, and that we have still these classical techniques developed in statistics that can be used, that are more powerful for small data sets.
The classical statistics at Wilcoxon and Diebold Marianna for time series. This is de facto is standard. So we compare with them here, and we see that all three tests are equally effective. We cannot. We did not reject the classical test. We proposed new test to use without any restrictions. Diebold Marianna and Wilcoxon have some restrictions, some assumptions that may be not sufficient.
Okay, you have also these data sets on COVID. We have recently also done some research on COVID, but it's very difficult to find data sets. Where did you obtain them? Is it from?
I obtained it from the publication of Chumachenko from Internet Journal Computation. They published a table, and the table was small.
Okay, this is an advantage, yes. Yeah, we are more interested in network data, so this is time series.
You cannot obtain the data about errors. This is GRUD data without any forecasting. And this data was the errors from three tests, random forest, KNN, and the gradient boosting. So to predict this, we might reproduce these models. No, this is not very difficult, but when we see the data, we use them from the publication. Thank you.
Thank you. It was good that you could present in person. So we have still 2 minutes coffee break, so that we've had with this interesting presentation. And let us look at the program. The next report. Maybe the speaker is already there.
I see Olga Kots is ready.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Hello to everybody. So sorry that without video.
You can, yeah, okay.
2 minutes.
2 minutes still. I just wanted to see if it works technically.
2 minutes just to talk with you, because more than 30 hours without light, without home internet, and difficult situation, especially knowing that we are in Lviv. But have to say that now I'm using mobile internet, and it's very unstable. So if there will be some problems with my connection, excuse me, please. It's not my problems.
Yeah,
and hope that
we're ready.
I hope that you will understand me.
Don't worry.
Okay, let's start. As I see, it's our time. My presentation is prepared for topic recommendation system for leisure time management in quarantine conditions. Of course, we started it when the COVID pandemic started and tried to find the way how to organize people's life, how to solve their problems, because everybody was in stress. Everybody doesn't know how to organize their life because unstable unknown situation, unexpected situation, almost like we have today when we have a war, no light, no internet. We again don't know how to organize our life because new conditions, new situation. So what I have to say, I think that all of you know so that we have a lot of information in our world. It multiplies year by year, and it's difficult for the common people to analyze it, to find solutions. And so we decided to investigate such recommendation system to help solve the problem, how to work with information and how to solve problem of information overload. So 2020 has changed areas of our life. I think that everybody of you knows that we have to stay at home, we have to work online, we have to change our meeting types and realize it via video and so on and so on. So new conditions needs new approaches, how to organize your life. So we consider that it is possible to adapt some leisure activities to new reality and hope that our recommendation system will help people to organize their life. We analyzed different studies on quarantine conditions influence on people and have to say that most of them are prepared by governments on the state level, but all these results shows us that influence was mostly negative. 38% of people started lacked energy, 36% sleep disorders. So we have many problems, and these problems are also connected not only with their health, but also with their no idea how to organize next days, next activities, because they don't know what to live, how to live in new conditions. Also, we have seen in open sources that this COVID-19 pandemic is characterized by growing role of information technologies, and in the number of IT products increase, and also we have found information that more than $23 billion was spent by customers on purchases related to mobile apps, which will help them to live in new conditions. So it means that people try to find new apps and try to find new approaches how to organize their life. Recommendation systems are one of the most popular applications nowadays because they give you ready solutions how to work, what to do, and how to organize your life. And we tried to analyze software solutions which we already use, but not all of them are really recommendation, but they analyze our preferences, our choice in previous searches, and propose us some actions how to do and what to use in the future. Also have to say that analyzing different publications, we have found that methods of system analysis were applied to analyze the problem situation and justify the choice of the type of information system, because such information systems can be really different, but we need to achieve some criteria for such system, such like reliability, security, privacy, availability, efficiency, and so on and so on. So to connect all this together, our how to choose the type of information system, include this criteria, and also analyze how to work, how to do in some situation. We decided to use the analytical hierarchy method because it helps us to combine all these different criteria, different data in one model, in one scheme, and to analyze it and to form what type to choose, what solution will be the best for us. The recommendation systems always goes through data collection, learning phase, and phase of formation of recommendation. So our recommendation system will also do the same. And how to say that we analyze different types of filtering the information, the customer activities, and have to say that it seems that it will be better to use weighting hybrid method to compare information and to form recommendations for our customers. The development of a conceptual model of the recommendation system ensures the identification of its various entities and their possible interactions. And here you can see the use case diagram. Three main participants, yes, our user, our guest, if it's not registered in the system, and our administrator, which propose different activities and possibilities for our user. Next slide shows us activity diagrams, so how we will move from the authorization to the getting some recommendations, and how it is possible to form them using such system. And have to say that the state diagram for the design recommendation system is also here presented, maybe not too big letters, but hope that you see. And the model of system behavior from the point of view of forming and providing recommendation is shown here. So the different diagrams for the same recommendation system. I have to say that to create a prototype of such information system can be used different programming languages. You can see them on the slide. And also we propose to use REST API architecture approach to form recommendations, because the main steps are general, and we can use some ready solutions and ready parts of information system which can just be applied in our information system. Here you can see just a few examples how can look our mobile app. It's not the final version, just first results, but what the main we wanted to show that of course, like in every mobile app, starting page, registration page, page with different recommendation, because we are talking about recommendation system. And also it will be very good to have activity diary, because people can't remember everything. It's difficult to remember everything. And it's good to have some not only a diary, but also history, what we have already done, what was good for us, what we liked, and it's also necessary part of such mobile app. I hope so, that it will be good. The main stages of the mobile application prototype work are user registration, viewing of recommendation catalog for large activities, recommendation rejection, recommendation usage, achievement diary, recommendation completion, also a recommendation evaluation, because such information system needs to know our attitude to propose recommendation, as for that which we have done, also for that which we decided not to do. So it's necessary to evaluate and to form such data set for future recommendations. If to conclude, I have to say that we expect that proposed recommendation system will reduce the level of anxiety and excitement. Also, we expect that it will increase the level of self-satisfaction as a result of recommendation implementation. We hope that it will help our people to be more healthy, because they will have some propositions what to do and how to do, maybe with video, maybe with short recommendation and so on. And also expect that it will have the economic effect, because it will organize the life, and our people will get the possibility to work in more suitable conditions, because they will know that today I do sport and do it in this way. Tomorrow I organize my homework in other way, and next day I try to meet with my friends, and it will be also in a new way which wasn't used before. So it was short information about our research, and hope that internet was normal and you have heard me. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much, Olha, for this talk. I hope you can also hear us. We heard you very well.
I will try. I will try.
Yes. So other questions? So I would like to ask a question about this recommendation system. It's an interesting idea, and but I know that it is also used in other software, like for instance YouTube. When you look a video, it recommends YouTube recommends you other videos that you might like. Or if I buy a book in Amazon, I get recommendation of other books. And they use data from other users. Are you also doing this? Like some user has similar preferences, and it's called, I think, collaborative filter.
Yes, we used the same idea, but the main difference, we propose the mobile app and personal recommendation system, yes, because nowadays, especially young people, middle-aged people, want to get something specially for them. They want to have special ads where they feel the data about their date, about their feelings, and wants not general recommendation, but the private recommendation. So idea is the same, like YouTube use, like different book services use, but we try to make the preference on the users' wishes, but also include information about other users like, want, and choose. So we combine all this and try to do private recommendations, if to say like this. It's not something unique, yes, but the different way how to look on this situation and how to propose the apps.
So I think the application to leisure time activities sounds to me new. Of course, the recommendation system is an idea that comes in many software nowadays. Did you test it, and how did you test it?
No, it just started version, so we just tried to show you how it can looks like, but we haven't improved it in life. We haven't tested.
It would be nice to have some.
We will develop it in the future. You will be able to buy it. or to download
Yes. And then we need free time also.
Also, we need free time. But as we can see, maybe it's not so a good scene in Finland, but in Ukraine, always new conditions, always new situations, and it's difficult to imagine how to manage your time, leisure time, working time. So it seems that next recommendation system will be how to manage your day.
But actually, it's
no light, no electricity, no internet, no possibility to get to your work or something like this.
So there, in a way, there are more and more constraints to the type of activities you can do.
Yes, more possibilities to develop. A lot of possibilities to develop.
You have to be very creative to find new ways to within such environment.
We will try. I think
it's indeed interesting. Yeah. So yeah, it will be interesting to see when people use the system and how they receive it and how it is field to
Well, it
work
will be
with
popular because nowadays people are looking for new solutions, new apps, because new approach how to organize and how to manage your life.
Thank you.
So it's not like we had in 1990 or at the beginning of 20th century.
I think
Different people, different life. So I think it will be popular.
I think one application could be also for parents to suggest free-time activities to their children. So
it's also possible, and how to manage it with your own life, children's activities with your life.
Because sometimes default activity is maybe playing with mobile phone or something like this, and you want to suggest some other things, and you need some ideas often. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you too.
I will go to the next speaker because the time is now to move on. So the next is by Oleksandr Mediakov, Bohdan Korostunki, Victoria Vitosha, and Oksana Markiv. I see Oksana, you are here. Will you present?
Yeah, I try to present. Sorry for possible bad connection. Yes.
I think it's okay.
Okay. Can you repeat, please? It's article experimental and exploratory analysis. Yes. With medical.
No, the previous one, machine learning model for paraphrases detection.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, because it was bad hearing. Yes. So I ask 1 minute, okay, if it's possible. Is it visible?
Yes, this is correct. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I would like to present our teamwork machine learning model for paraphrases detection based on text content per binary classification. It dwells upon process of ML model development for detecting paraphrasing by binary classification of pair of texts. For this study, we have used different semantic similarity metrics indicators that have been selected as features. For example, Jacquard coefficient for shared n-grams, cost and distance between vector representations of sentences, word mover distance to WordNet dictionaries, and others, and among them NN models and Roberta. Process of paraphrasing consists in, to our mind, in text rewriting to change words and sequence while preserving original meaning. Rewrite detections plays vital role in various NLP tasks, including plagiarism, authorship detection, machine translation, and so on. So to achieve different tasks were set for develop functional requirements based to RUP and UML analyze state-of-the-art methods used for paraphrasing, and different architecture, text pre-processing, vector embedding. Information system, to our mind, concerning paraphrases detection is intended to evaluate quality of publications and group data. A responsible person can upload text and receive results. In the usage diagram, so we see here usage case diagram, and we can see all the agents that are involved in the process of paraphrasing. So in the usage diagram, there are the main actors of system. Such a system can be used to check academic integrity. It will have greater recall, yeah? So plagiarism checker application class denotes a program that implements a user interface and basic plagiarism checking methods by comparing different tapes. Such a program can be installed on a computer or implemented as online platform. And this app sends requests to the server and user databases. And with the help of activity diagram, we can see how this process is organized. Yes. So with the help of different sequence diagram, we can show the temporal aspects of the interaction of system components, Activity diagram is divided in 2 parts, and developer faces all possible methods and combinations. In this slide, you can see some part of our experimental work. You see a structure of project repository that can be downloaded and investigated, and files and example of input data. The second part of activity diagram shows main methods for binary classification of sentence pairs, and developer can apply such metrics and make paraphrases more comfortable. Since a training example of post-Wikidata set contains a lot of records, approximately 49,000, a repository with processing scripts was first created for each feature, and project is the following. For each feature, there is a distance repository containing the corresponding processing results. Each repository contains from results of processing, text training, validation samples, and in conclusion of our research, what we have concluded that according to Roberta ML model prediction, the constant distance between solution vector representation and the shortened path between sets is more comfortable, and process of paraphrasing consists in rewriting to change words and sequence while preserving original meaning. And results of study have shown that transformer type NN can be successfully applied to detect paraphrasing in pair of text with fairly high accuracy without need for additional feature generation. And if speaking about Roberta, it's less sensitive for pair of sentences which are not paraphrases of each other. So to our mind, transformer type NN is better for it, but the following investigations will be based on improving our research and on maybe making new conclusions and new results. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you. I think we have time for questions. It was not so long. Yes.
What language model you used? Ukrainian or another?
We try to use not only Ukrainian, but these methods are applicable for Ukrainian and English language, but in general, it's English. It's a combination of different methods can be applied for. We try to make some universal scheme of investigation of these paraphrases, and in future we'll be adapting for different purposes, maybe paraphrases in order to have quality paraphrases. Yes.
As I understand, you tested Berta from Google.
We tried to test from Google, and we had other programs, but this program part was in responsibility of other person of our team. Yes, so I can't tell you for sure which names of this program. If you have some additional questions, I think if it's not a problem for you, you can ask it by mail. Yeah, but in general, we try to use, it was based on online, yes, and on experimental passive research, we used, for our investigation, we try to use even Python, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question.
So, are there more questions for the speaker? I would, we have still a bit of time for the next planned presentation. On the other hand, I wanted to ask, will you also present this next presentation, Oksana?
Yes, I can present. I would like to present the next presentation. Yes, yeah, but 30 seconds, okay? I should.
Yeah, sure. Take a break. We have a lot of time, okay. So we will start at in about
So
5
here
minutes.
I should connect my USB modem, yeah, because my net is unstable. So sorry.
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes. So
Yeah, Oksana, we have 5 minutes to wait for your next start.
Okay. Even in case when internet is good, yes, I should wait. Yeah, okay.
yes. Yeah, we should stick to the time plan. So people with little electricity can join for the presentations they want to see.
We have two different kind of electricity disconnection, planet and non-planet. Very often we have planet disconnection.
I see.
Added and planet too.
I can imagine that this planet are to make the overall power consumption smaller.
Yes, it's exactly for decrease consumption. Therefore, often disconnect big fragment of streets with high
consumption.
High level buildings where big consumption. Less disconnect small consumption regions, fragment of cities. Every time it's problem because it's not adequate disconnection. Yeah? Because some buildings every time have electricity, other very often disconnected.
It might have to do with the topology of the network too.
Yeah, and topology created historically, so complicated sometimes.
And it's also difficult sometimes to build power lines through certain parts of the city.
Every building in our city was connected accidentally when built to existing nearest line, not systematically connected. Today, at least, supply electricity to Kherson.
Okay.
Because many days
I heard
Kherson was without electricity, water, and gas. Now, today's at least electricity was.
But it's often related. The water need pumps, and the pumps need electricity, heating a bit. Sometimes also related.
We have here in Lviv very different levels of ground, hills, and to balance water supply, many pumps should be used.
Operated.
Many different levels and big difference in pressure and tubes. It's a problem.
Hi.
Hello, Sichiman.
I just want to know in Ukraine, Mitro, how about the university? The class is going on or at home?
It's both situation. It's how it will be in English, zmieszanej. Lectures is online, practical classes is on site.
On site.
In presence.
Right.
Mainly. But it's mainly connects with each university decide how it will be better.
Okay.
It's especially for our university and especially for first grade students of first grade. It's in the September, October is for first level, first grade students. All classes was offline on site, but now after hitting, we change it.
I see.
Plan. Okay, we have time.
Yeah, let's continue with Oksana's second presentation with her co-authors.
Okay, I try. Is it visible? Yes, everything
Yes.
is okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to present our teamwork, experimental and exploratory analysis of programming languages popularity according to the PIPL index. Our work dwells upon procedure for primary and exploratory analysis of data concerning programming languages, popularity according to PIPL index. Classical but flexible methods of analysis were used in our work. I will speak about them later. And examples have been provided, and based on question set of graphic results has been constructed. Integral part of report information content consists of executable code examples in the R language. In order to use the capability of systems, it is necessary to have a tool for managing them, so-called programming language, yes? So its popularity may be considered from statistical angle. It will allow to see patterns and trends among developers. Mathematical processing of data will allow to build relative indicators of growth or decline in the popularity of languages. Correlation, in our work, correlation analysis is used, and there is a need to present such algorithm that is shown in this slide that help form a correlation matrix with this visualization in the form of heat map. Also, cluster analysis is used, a UML diagram activity for understanding the popularity of, investigating the popularity of program languages. One of the main tasks when performing is to determine the next unit node. Find the minimum among the elements without taking into account the main diagonal. More general picture of clustering involves the creation of dendrogram. It will be shown in the next slides. And for remembering the results of clustering, we present a diagram of activities and later dendrograms. Speaking about data set, speaking about languages investigated in our work, experimental data value for 28 languages. Data was collected by Kaggle users. CSV format of initial data is presented in the article. At present, a data set includes data from July 2004 to September 2021, and such languages are investigated in this slide. There is seen that it's ABAP, ERA, COBOL, Dart, and others, and old some kind of traditional languages and a new one, yes? When studying the dynamics of time series, speaking in our work, we propose to study dynamics of time series, yes? So the smoothing mechanisms are used, exponential and median filtering. For the correct use of data, it is necessary to conduct a classical intelligence analysis. Other slides depict our experimental part, and in general, I would like to just to the main content to explain what we mean. Yes, to improve the appearance, it's good to divide languages into certain groups, which will have mean value, dispersion, area, and after sorting them by average value, we have such conclusions that the most popular language nowadays is Python and Java during observation period. But these two languages are totally different, so they have different purposes, but both of them are popular now. Yeah. So in this slide, you see a kind of smoothing by candle, linear candle smoothing used in our work, and a slide of comparison of two smoothing smoothing mechanism was used to highlight the trend line close to initial data, moving average, exponential, median, filtering. And here there is a heat map, correlation heat map, as it was mentioned previously about correlation heat map, and which and dendrograms, yes, which results and conclusions we have. So what can we say? New languages, Go, Dart, Julia, Nim, don't affect popularity of old one, of traditional, because they solve new problems. So there is no linear relationship between, for example, Dart and C#. Java and Python are completely different, but are popular the same way. Python is a little bit popular than Java, yes. Since data analysis, data science, neural network are popular, R language, Julia are interesting for popularity and become more and more popular. So it's obvious that we should try to learn new languages, not only traditional. From diagram on dendrogram, it can be seen that separate cluster of C++, JavaScript, Scala, Julia, Cobol can be distinguished, and again a cluster of languages, Python, Java, PHP, may be added and combined in using for different spheres, because today IT cluster is becoming more and more popular, and that's why it is really obvious and necessary to investigate popularity of languages in order to to understand what to use and how to use for management and for good purposes. So the spread of information technologies. So in general, the spread of information technologies has led to existence of program language, some such tool for processing, and that's why question of its popularity is logical. It's necessary to take into consideration distribution of language, distribution of time data, detection of presence of linear relationship, time series statistics, correlation analysis, and it was done in our work, and we try to use it, and in future we believe that we can profound our investigation and show you results with maybe some experimental part and statistics. So thank you for attention.
Thank you. Other questions about this presentation?
May I ask a question? What was the aim of this analysis? What you...
The aim of our analysis was to show the degree of popularity of different languages, not only traditional, but those that are used in this slide. We can see it, yes, that are used now at the present stage in order to understand this degree of usability, and if it's important to use them new or just traditional one, and to solve this problem not only from the point of statistics, but taking into consideration different features of languages, time series, linear relationship, correlation analysis, in order to have more profound conclusions about popularity and usability of them.
I don't know. We can see popularity at once. take a look at last results, last data, and we have data about popularity. Some serious, no connected with this.
We try to combine different features, yes, and the most popular, maybe the biggest part of our research was according to PI index, yeah, and then we try to use such correlation metrics to show this. We try to show this maybe occurrence with how dendrogram may influence and what we can see from it, for example, generating cluster in dendrogram using H-class functions. And more profound investigations are shown in the article, because in this slide we have just short because it's time consuming process to show everything on slide, yeah.
And
okay.
Can, one more,
Yes.
who can use this data, your results?
This can be used for those who use program languages, for IT companies, especially for new one, for those who maybe just try to take their niche, their area in IT cluster, or for those who maybe just in the process of such search, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we still have a bit of time. I would have a question for curiosity on, is there some languages like C++, they were very popular, but are they still popular, or? So do you understand? I wanted to understand what happened to C++.
No, C++ is also popular, but guessing from PI/PL index and from our investigations, the most popular in this scheme is in this maybe stages. First stage is Python and Java, and C++ is it must be popular because it's traditional language, yes, and everyone use it. So, but for maybe these investigations in much more research was in connection to new languages in this maybe correlation with new one. Yes, so speaking about C++, it's just a background of program language.
Okay, good. I see also people combining sometimes C++ and Python, for instance, in numerics. On the other hand, I think the Java maybe is also based on the mobile computing, like for mobile telephone to compute apps. It's much easier in Python than in C++.
Okay, so the main purpose maybe was to show that new languages also should exist, and they don't influence on popularity of old languages.
Interesting.
So we wanted to show that such R language, Julia, are increasing in popularity since data analysis, data science, neural network are becoming more and more popular. But speaking about Python, Java, and C++, I think it's very difficult to take their popularity. Yes, and
I think Julia is quite popular now. Yes, but still.
In general, maybe there are a lot of those who don't know about such language, for example. Maybe in the IT cluster, yes, but ordinary user, I think.
I don't. I think it's similar to there was MATLAB, and now there's also Julia, and Python is the mainstream now. Yeah, and this numerical computing. But let's see what will happen.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are up for the next presentation. We should have a look at the time schedule, and is the next speaker there?
Yes, let me present the result of our colleague. Just I'm sharing.
Okay, you can share the screen.
Yes. Do you see?
Yes, we see.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce research of my colleague on the topic intelligent system of dynamic to-do visualization of passenger flows of public transport routes based on OpenGL, done by Andrii Vasyliuk, Andrii Vasyliuk, Agnieszka Kowalska-Styczeń, and Lyubomyr. It's international teams from Ukraine and Poland, from Lviv Polytechnic National University and Silesian University of Technology and Ivan Franko National University of Lviv. As the base information, we try to talk about the basic of passenger flow as the passenger who moves in time in the space and the number of passenger increase, so do the requirements for the quality of public transportation. The reference of the topic is need to establish interaction between the factors and criteria by which the quality of the passenger transport is evaluated. The purpose of the work is to improve the attractiveness of public transportation city residents due to increasing the quality of passenger transport to passenger flow management. The object of the study is the process of 2D visualization of passenger flow on public transport routes. The subject of the study is the method of the principle of 2D visualization and forecasting of passenger flow on the city roads. This slide presents the selection and justification of the means of the solving this problem, advantages and disadvantages of the Python language, and we choose the Python. And the result of selection of justifying of being solving the problem, our colleague investigate parameters for of the arcade and by game models, and as you can see, as a result, they choose OpenGL and pipelines. Okay. This is a database of GTF system, and on this slide you can see the neural network working for the predicting the passenger flow as incoming data is type of arrival at the stop, departure time from the stop, stop number, transport unit number, etc. It's the main interface of this program, and this changing when you choose some different visualizations. But now you can see the work of this program, and special for road cycle road, this presentation in the regime on map. And especially it's very important part of this regime. It's like different very important part of this. First is the time of arrival stop. Second is following data submitted input, and then you can see the arrival of transport at the stop, dropping off and pick it up passenger. Third is rendering speed, which is displayed the services information in the HAD in the lower right corner, and then the scale of the map of the road of displayed and services information in UDI in the lower right corner. And 5 is the vehicle that is in the final stop. This is the back of the regime, schematic regime. You can see the changing the bus stop, the name, and the general information on the left and the right slide. Schematic mode have two important parts, and first is the length of the road, bus stop, and the part of this schematic mode, we can get the information about passenger flow on the bus stop and the time of in the bus stop, and the difference is about the passenger flow and time for the depart this part. On this conclusion, available at so the end, we can talk about available and well-known scientist development and literature source are studied and highlighted the advantages and disadvantages of various algorithm and method and approach all tools for solving the problem of to-do visualization of passenger flow in cities. It was established that this visualization of passenger flow is one of the important tasks for improving the quality of passenger transportation by public transport. The expediency of choosing the Python programming language with the main model arcade, GeoPipe, Matplotlib, multi-process OpenGL, PyGFS, and TensorFlow for the visualization of passenger flow is sustained. With the help of OpenGL, low-level communication with the rendering of graphic elements was provided. Developed by unique open algorithm for creating visualization in two modes, thematic and on the map. Placement of stop on the route of software products has been created for to-do visualization of passenger flow based on real conditions, predicting the change of passenger flow for a few vehicle schedule using an aero network. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for the interesting talk and quite impressive visualizations. Are there questions from the audience? Mitro?
My question is, what period of statistics? This for last month or last year, and what is statistic present?
It's probably about through whole months, because it's so different to gather the data, because we have no electronic tickets and we have no information about the quantity of passenger waiting on the bus stop. It's really good chance to get this data from this with electrotransfer with private bus enterprise. It's very difficult to gather this because we have no electronic tickets, especially in bus roads.
Okay, it would be interesting to see dynamics, how it changes day to day, month to month, and so on. What depends morning and the evening.
Yes, it's very important that it's the data set is different from the holiday and back day, and in some period we have the highest period for the passenger for and especially with this aim is creating this program. Yeah, as I understand, it's the work of my colleague. Yes.
Also important to distinguish time of most crowded streets when it's longest distance between each buses and so on.
It's not important for cities like Lviv. It's about more than 100 kilometers, and it's really working with different type of electro trolley bus, this type of trams, this route of bus routes. It's not problem for this.
Not depends.
Not
Is
depends,
crowded streets or not crowded?
Not depends. Yeah.
Okay.
I understand. It's my opinion. Please remark. So remark. It's my opinion, as I understand. Yeah.
And again, to whom is intended this software? Who should use it?
For state enterprise and like Lviv Electrotrans or the Department of the Transport, Lviv Department, Transport Department, and like enterprise that organize and improve the transport network in the city. It's not for human. It's not as user, but it's for decision, for making decision in this level, administrative level, transport level services. Yes.
Is it? Did you also how to say collaborate with other cities who have such systems or compare how they do it? I know that there are some cities who have a lot of problems, like Athens in Greece, with the traffic. Others are less affected by such traffic problems, but maybe it's. I was wondering, is it something developed specifically for Lviv, or is it also in collaboration with other cities?
Thank you. I will tell my colleague about this possibility.
Mm-hmm. And we have time for one more question, I guess, because it's a lot of. So if anybody from audience has an important question, otherwise I have, maybe not so important question, but also an interest question is, when you develop this software, situation was very much changing in your country and city. So how was this traffic situation changing? Many people came as refugees, for instance, and there was a COVID epidemic that ended more or less. So could you see some significant trends in the system?
Yes, as I know, it was a very difficult situation with COVID, and some transport vehicle was not in route, and it was difficult to forecast this traffic and forecast the passenger flow traffic. Yeah, and we try to create the universe program for and this extraordinary experience is very interesting to investigating for this neural network for forecasting by this neural network. Yes, I hope my colleague will improve your program in this next period of investigation. Yes,
it's indeed very challenging because the past has not been. There were not such situation maybe, and now they come, and then it's very difficult to learn from the past data. You need to use the most recent data and things like this.
Yes.
Anyway, yes. Okay. We should move to the last presentation of this first session. Oleksandr Doc Leap. Dennis Shavayev, is there someone in the audience from the final presentation? Please tell us.
Yes, I will continue to.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me start to present the research on the topic analysis method for determining the sustainability of the water of human consumption done by Oleksandr Vasyliuk, Denis Shavayev, Yuri Vasyliuk, Alexander Olha, Maria, Anna Maria Cherkovska, Maxim Korobchensky, Lyubomyr and Irina Kalinina. In our the work establishing the main trends in determining the suitability of water for the human consumption is the most common indicator of the acid-base balance of the water is from 6 to 7. Most of our data set are not suitable for drinking water. The most common indicator of the surface balance of water is from 300 to 350, and most common indicator of the carbon balance of water are within 12 to 15. The average, the most popular value is of acid alkaline balance of water is 7. The standard deviation from this parameter is insignificant, and indicator value of this range is from 0 to 14, and the sink of this acid alkaline balance of water is quite stable. Every people use water for the form for another, no matter how it sounds. A person is made up of 70% water. Water ensures the body's normal function. Therefore, by violence of use, the water in the diet lead to inevitable consequences and even fatalities. And when there is a lot of water, but it is of dubious quality, they usually do not drink it. People start water starvation. They cannot stand and drink the water, and as a result, they get serious disease of this digestive system, which the absence of normal medicine, for example, Africa or poor countries, leads to this. Therefore, it's very important to correctly determine whether this water is from the certain place sustainable for consumption. For input in our data set, there are pH, water hardness, solids, chloramide, sulfur, conductivity, organic carbon, trichloromethanase, turbidity, and potable. The purpose of the work was to use method of visualization of select and statistic graphically display to determine trends in the behavior of various indicators imputables with the method of correlation analysis, presenting of the results of analysis using Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. The object of the work is to carry out preliminary statistic processing, identify trends in the time series of the smooth method, perform correlation analysis, perform cluster analysis. This is what this original dataset look like in Excel. Our dataset is conducted with pH, water hardness, solids, chloramine, sulfur conductor, organic carbon, 3 halomethanes, turbidity, and potable. It's very difficult name, chemical name. The main type of data visualization is reported with experimental, scientific, practical research graphs. The graphs show the relation between the two quantities, one of which is the dependent variables, and like this we have pH, and second is dependent variables like water quality. So when analyzing the result, we can say that we get this data, the average, medium, without range, and measure variability, symmetric quality, and low water common or distribution of this presentation. This graph shows the depends of pH acidity on solid. You can see that most of the data range from 15,000 to 30,000 of pH, and from 5 to 10 for the solids. It can be conducted that most of the water of this data set is not of the best quality, and some place it's very toxic, the result of which can be seen in this figure below. And Smoothing according to the Cantor formulas is simply moving average. We smooth the data using the different size smoothing interval from 3, 5, 7, etc. and got 7 consecutive clues, and you can see in this figure. Correlation analysis is a group of methods that allow detected the present and degree of the relation between several random changing parameters, and the matrix displays all the coefficients that need graphically display the relation. Multiple correlation coefficient shows that the data set has weak but present relation based on which results can be conducted. Cluster analysis is one of the methods of the multidimensional statistical analysis that analyzes when each observer is present not by one certain indicator but by a set of the value of different indicators. It includes a number of algorithms for formation the clusters themselves and distribute other object cluster analysis presented on this slide. We can see that we have solved homogeneous situation, and we have provided selection compact distinct group and breakdown for the population disease. In this we construct graph in Cartesians and popular coordinate system, derivate quantity characteristic, despite statistic, and formal histogram and cumulate. Investigation of this problem, we use the main method of visualization, graphic presentation, and primary statistical process of numbering data. Method of correlation analysis is experimental data presented by the time sequence, where also used to rank. The most common indicator value determined by histograms. The most common indicator of the seed alpine balance of water is from 6 to 7. Most of our data set are not potable water. The most common indicator of the sulfur balance of water is from 30 to 300 to 350. Is the most common indicator of the carbon balance of water are in the range from the 12 to 50. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Other questions about this water quality?